Different angle. Got my vegetable hawking uniform on. Anyway, the verdict is in. And I'm going to go with a buck tool. Of course, if I had the budget, I'd go with, say, a commercial grade Grizzly. I'm sure they make such things, or a Jet, but it's out of my budget. And I'm not going to have, say, an actual production wood shop so I can get by with a lesser beast. I am going to take that advice and get a Shinto rasp, though. I can do that. The reason I'm going with the buck tool, first of all, advice from somebody who has made a lot of bows out of hardwood like Osage and hickory. And second of all, direct drive. There's no motor, belt, and into the mechanism. So you don't need to worry about adjusting a belt because there is no belt. Another bit of advice, go with Diablo sanding belts. I've got Diablo blades on my table saw and my compound miter saw, and I like them, so, I'll take that advice. As far as I'm going to use belt sander for bow making, and I'm going to wind up, using a tool that removes wood really fast, and I'm going to screw things up. Well, if I was going to use it for tillering, yeah, I admit that. But what I'm going to be using it for, aside from, basic shop stuff, I do other things too. Maybe I'll make bird feeders or bird houses or chairs or what have you, and it would be really a handy unit to have along with, the bandsaw, compound miter saw, routers, blah, 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 blah. For rounding the backs of the bows, not for tillering. I've got 19 of them here. And there would have been more if I bought more wood. I would have just, there'd be 50 blanks sitting here. And if I'm spending an hour, which I have, with a radius sanding block, and I'm not so keen on using a scraper on the back of a bias ring oak bow because it can damage the back. So I hand sand them. And if I can save an hour per bow, rounding the backs, that's huge. An average. Small ones, won't take an hour. They're pretty quick, even with hand sanding blocks, probably half an hour or so. The wider ones, oh yeah, it takes a long time to round the back one of my paddle bows. Now I do the rounding of the backs first before I go into the tillering and the final tillering. And so if the backs aren't rounded perfectly, if there's variance from one side to the other, one limb to the other limb, whatever. It's not going to be messy because I consider myself somewhat skilled in things. But it'll be corrected during the tillering process, so that's good. Might use it for, the edges on the side. But again, that's not as critical as tillering. So I know what I'm doing here, kind of. Misrepresentation. I'll never misrepresent my bows. If it's a board horse bow, it's made from a red oak board. I used power tools to produce it because I consider that, more of a production bow. Trying to get nice bow into the hands of people that don't necessarily want to spend a lot of money for, again, not misrepresenting, natural stave-made bow that had the kinks worked out with heat and used hand tools to make them, aside from, cutting down a tree with a chainsaw. But yeah, that's it. Looking forward to getting the buck tool, which, by the way, you can get one with the, they're both direct drive. One with the 6-inch sanding disc for $140 now, flash sale from Buck Tools. And the one with the 8-inch sanding disc for, I believe, like $180, an extra $40, which I'll spend the extra $40, even though I'm buying it for that belt sander. Hey, probably use the sanding disc too, and it's got a bigger surface area, so you won't have to change the pads or the sanding discs as often. I'm very sensitive to that because using an orbital disc sander, oh my gosh, I go through sanding disc after sanding disc after sanding disc. It's ridiculous. And so I will save myself the aggravation of switching them out too often by going with the the 8-inch one. But yep, that's about it. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. In the case of the snake bow, it's kind of a 2-stage. I have to glue 3 boards together, 2 riser blocks because they're deeper. Now I'm done. Better think about getting to work. I got 5 minutes to goof off and then it's in the truck. Thank you for watching.